sales doesn't mean good design. A lot of turnover does not mean brand is done. Right? I keep saying designing a showroom and designing a museum is different. Showroom is sales. Museum is marketing.
So we have Sudhir Sharma sir today. Sudhir Sharma is a designer. He's a traveler. He does a lot of things, as we all know. And so welcome to Boltaay, Sudhir sir. And we are really excited to do this podcast because it comes from the design perspective. It comes from a lot of other perspectives that we discussed, really from the awards, from the magazines, from the the very start of the design. So, firstly, welcome to Boltaay.
Thank you.
And just for our viewers, that how did this journey start? Like from from the initial phase of design, how did you
Get into design.
Get into design.
Yeah. That's a very old story. So, for me, getting into design was getting away from everything else in life. So when I was in 10th standard, 11th, 12th standard, I used to hate studying really. Mathematics, science, it actually didn't make sense. Though I was one of the most brilliant students my school ever had. But I didn't really enjoy it. So I was looking at medical nahi karna hai, engineering nahi karna hai, and I read this newspaper advertisement said National Institute of Design. And I asked my dad, can you go and check what is National Institute of Design? He went. He was in Ahmedabad on a tour, so he went and saw, and he came back and he said, the place looks very expensive. I'm talking about 40 years back.
Okay.
40 years back. And he came and he said, everyone is wearing jeans there. So I said, wow. And they said, ladke aur ladkiyan saath mein ghum rahe the. I said, that's where I want to go. I sort of decided the word design made sense. I always had this art inclination. I was supposed to be a good artist in the family and from the school. So I thought it's a good fit. And the only qualification I had was I owned a camera called Click 3. Akfaz, it's a box camera. And I used to take black and white pictures in my 8th, 9th standard. But I used to write to National Geographic, I used to write to Nikon and Canon, and I had collected all their brochures of all the cameras and everything. I was very interested in photography, but I had no clue to what photography is. So when I went to the interview, I was called for the interview, and I went for the interview, and I showed pictures taken on Agfa Click 3, and I knew Click 3 is like nobody would know about that camera. But I faked, I told them like this was shot on a Nikon so-and-so camera, and they all sort of, how did you shoot this? What was the lens and what was the shutter speed? And I knew everything what it should be. But then later, just before finishing my interview, I told them, sorry, this is a box camera. But I'm interested in this. And the journey started. And amazing. I really don't regret it. I think being designer is the best profession you can have in the world, really.
Amazing. Yeah. So when you say being a designer, okay, where people think about designing like logos or ads or branding. So how does it differentiate? How?
So I'll tell you. So today we have a lot of streams of design, a lot of specializations. But the time when I started, we had a very simple definition for design at that time, that design is problem solving.
Okay.
So anytime you solve a problem, you design. Going a little further, I've refined it. I have a definition, and I feel any pre-planning is design. Any pre-planning. So whether if you are going to launch a company and you pre-plan the company launch, that's designing a company. If you have a brand coming up or a business coming up and you need to give it a shape and a structure and you say brand kaisa hona chahiye, that's branding, that's designing brand. If it's going to be a product and you start thinking, what should this product be? That's designing the product. So I got into this mindset right from the early on that I don't need to put this in silos.
Right.
So today we are designing buildings, we're designing software, we're designing apps, we're designing computers, we're designing automobiles, we are designing brands, logos, businesses. So with that philosophy that any pre-planning is design, and it doesn't really need structured education.
Right.
So design has a method. If you follow that method, you will reach a destination. But it's good to have the knowledge of it's good to have professional or say formal knowledge
Right.
on how to design.
Correct.
And that can be applied to anything.
Okay.
कपड़े
Okay.
डिजाइन कर लो या रूम डिजाइन कर लो business design life, you can design life. So a lot of kids I speak to now, it's interesting that I can look at and say, yeah, figure out a destination in your life. And I find in that sense design is very spiritual also.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I think the time of design, like when you're saying 40 years back, and to design that is coming now, how has this journey been, or how has this evolution been? Because the softwares then, or the softwares now,
Yeah.
and so how do you see this like
Softwares, then
evolving?
there were no
There were no
softwares.
softwares only. Right.
So the first computer I remember we bought was somewhere 1995. The computers were coming.
Correct, correct.
There were no softwares that time. There used to be a software called Corel Draw.
Corel
And
Draw,
I remember
yeah.
Corel Draw 2 was the first software I saw. You can draw a line, you can give it curvature, and you could do things. And we didn't have our own computer. We had a neighbor who had a computer. So we used to buy time per hour from
Okay.
him. So I remember 10 or 12 rupees per hour was our rate. And he kept a register there. You write into that and use that computer. Then we bought our first computer by mistake. By mistake in the sense that guy, he's a very good old friend now. He sold us a computer saying, मेरे पास ना color monitor, black and white monitor नहीं है. We couldn't afford a color one. So I have this color one, use it for some time. By the time your monitor comes, I'll replace it. So we had a large 286 machine. It was almost like a 3.5 feet cabinet.
Wow.
And a color monitor, not ours. It was on with us for some time.
Right.
And I remember a few people when we started doing work in color. It was fantastic because you could click and change the color.
Oh.
I know it sounds very funny.
Correct.
But that time, earlier we used to, use cartridge paper and we used to use poster color to do logos. If you had to do, say, 4 different colors of the same logo, you had to draw it 4 times and then color, fill and show it to the client saying, red mein aisa hoga, blue mein aisa hoga, yellow mein aisa hoga. Here, for the first time, I started calling clients to my office.
Okay.
So I remember one of the first projects I did, Praj. Mr. Chaudhary, I told him that we have a computer, so we were going to decide the colors of his identity. I said, if you can come to our office. His office was on Ferguson Road that time. So I remember he said, दिन में time नहीं है, so can we meet at 8 o'clock in the morning? 8 o'clock in my office at Ganjwe Chowk. So he comes and we are changing the colors. And there's a gradation you can do with the colors, right? For the first time. So it was like, why? But there was no way to print. There were no printers.
Correct,
that time.
no printers.
So what we used to do was show the colors, take a picture on a slide because there were no digital cameras, and then the outline print it out on a cartridge paper with the dot matrix and then hand fill the colors.
Yeah.
So that's how the Praj logo got decided on computer, and probably the first logo I ever did was on computer. So there were no softwares. I remember people from Bajaj Auto came over to my office. We were working with them to see the computer.
Wow.
What does the computer look like? So
Wow.
it was amazing. That time so I realized that in terms of tech, you need to be not only just be updated, you need to be ahead of the curve.
Correct.
You need to use the latest, and you need to use it before other people use it. Adopt it because it's good, or junk it because it's not good. And I think still the same thing continues. But design has changed because of computers and softwares. Fundamentally, the design,
Right.
because I think the time I became a designer, computers and softwares were not there. So there was a lot of emphasis on thinking, problem solving, or thinking ahead and planning. Now it's less thinking and problem solving, and it's more like, how am I going to do this? It's
Correct,
more of that
correct.
process. So that's how I think is different. But otherwise, what that means is, I think today what we do in 1 year is a project we would have done in 5 years or 6 years earlier. So we just did one cafe in Nepal, which had, so there was architecture, there's interior, there's branding, there is a whole lot of animation, film, everything included into that. All that done and executed in 1 year's time. I couldn't imagine that earlier to do that with a small team of 5-10 people and in a foreign country and do a project with that speed.
Absolutely.
Not possible earlier.
Absolutely. So, as we were discussing at that time about the ICICI, the thing. So, we would like to hear about that. How did all that happen? How did those colors come?
So, that was fantastic because we, I think we had just finished Bajaj Auto's first retail program, first ever standard retail program in India. And it got published in Brand Equity in Economic Times. And I get a call from somebody in Bombay saying, we have a new bank coming up and we need some help with the identity. The word branding was not very well known.
Correct.
So will you? And I jumped to Bombay was like neighboring place for us, right? Now it's very far.
This was in 90s, right? Yes, this must be 90s or 80s.
94, 95 I'm talking about. So I went there, met this young man, Mr. Kamath, who was the managing director of and he told us the whole example of, the bank was called Indian Credit and Investment Corporation. Industrial Credit and Investment Corporation of India. And I was like, इतना बड़ा नाम है तो ये मतलब how will it become a bank? And he said, no, it'll be at every nook and corner. And I said, first thing we need to do is change the name. So lots of names we went through and finally decided on ICICI, which was a tongue twister.
Correct.
And I didn't believe that anyone would be able to say ICICI. But I found his group of people was very used to calling it ICICI. And it became like today, if you have to stop at ICI, it's difficult. And the tongue just rolls. And another thing he made very clear was that I wanted blue. Because he came from Citibank and he was very clear, blue, bank, matlab blue. And he said it will be a bank which will be probably depending on technology. That time there was no bank technology, by the way.
Right.
Everything was in ledgers and this thing. The tech word was just coming into the banks. And I sort of went back saying, what we can do is adopt the technology, the visual, in the visual identity of Citibank, but don't go with the same colors.
Right.
So we went for colors which are burgundy to orange because, and the technology was the gradation. So that time you need to remember that the fascias were all hand painted. All hoardings were hand painted. They were not printed.
Not digitally printed.
Yeah, so the difficult part to do a vignette was that it will be hand painted and vignette will be different everywhere. So we said it won't be hand painted. The reason Citibank looked good was that it was printed. It was a something called vinyl.
Okay.
New word that time. So we landed up doing a sample on a Viewtech machine in Israel. And it looked fantastic because the large printers were not there. We had a printer from Xerox, I think it was a wax printer on which we could do large format printing, and we showed it to them. And the colors, I made a presentation on Indian colors, a 200 slide presentation to the board of ICICI saying why vermilion, why earth red, why rust. Why warm colors are Indian colors. You look at Diwali, Holi, look at our weddings, look at anything around us is all warm colors. So Indians are people with warm colors. It's something which goes to our heart straight away.
Right.
Saffron is one example, but I would say we are like that. But if you look at the globe and the color psychology, so the whole of America is blue. Everything is blue. If you look at Europe, it's still blue with a little bit of orange, a little bit of red somewhere. Look at Middle East is all green because of course religious color. Look at the Far East is all black and red. Japan, China. It's when it comes to India, it becomes very muddy. We have oranges, we have vermilion, we are like, it's just like what the Indian spirit is. And the moment we did that color and put it up for the whole board to see, nobody objected. They said, that's the color we should go for. Because finally, it's the Indians taking a decision, right?
Correct.
So that color got decided. one major objection that time was that you can't have red in a bank ka color. Red means loss. Bank is to do with money. So we found two examples, one from Spain, one from Japan, which had red color and they were doing very well. So this bank decided we'll go with this color. And the good thing is that ever since, I think we released those colors in 1996 or 97, around that time. ICICI became a bank in around 2000, that time. After that, not a single identity of any bank in India has been without using red.
Okay.
Whether it's HDFC or it's Axis Bank or it's all in warm color domains. I think we sort of became comfortable with, using our own colors.
Absolutely.
I feel branding, colors, brands, forms, extremely cultural. So if cultural, because if you've grown up with something in your life, the instant you see the same color or same thing, you resonate with it.
Correct.
So from the marketing point of view, I think it's a very simple equation that cultural iconography, cultural colors make a lot of sense in branding.
Absolutely. No, because yes, that has been a shift also in terms of the mindset itself, as the clients were having previously and now. But nowadays you see that, people don't really understand that, why is the color psychology or why is the brand positioning in a way that it has to be, or, the kind of research that goes for it, like for example designing a logo. So how has that mentality shifted over the years, in terms of clients, in terms of your team, in terms of you? Because sometimes you do something where you have complete creative liberty, right? But sometimes, yes, there are a lot of interventions,
A lot of compulsions.
lot of compulsions. Where
So I'll tell you another story. When I did the Bajaj Autos identity, the new one, which is, I call it the new one, it was released exactly 23 years back. The flying bee, the bee which is there. So when we were doing that, we had the liberty of changing the color.
Okay.
So we did. We did. In fact, we changed the blue itself, but that time we did go and test the red also in the market. Okay, because red, frankly, I would have preferred it red, because red is something, again, it's very Indian and it's very in your face. Blue somehow, it came because it's an engineering company, it's a manufacturing company. A lot of engineering manufacturing companies, without thinking much, just land up using blue. But there's so much equity invested into that color, say the blue or Bajaj, that it's difficult to shake it. Not just that, the polarization happens. The main competition is Honda.
Yeah.
Honda is red. If you change to red, you are following the same line.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So it's something which started coming out not just from the management or from my team, but also from the customers. They had already slotted a particular company in a certain way. You can't really shake it up. So changing the shape became okay. Changing the color was like shifting the camp. Not possible.
Not possible.
So we did a lot of tests. We did, red, this, that, but we finally went back to blue. We said, okay, let's make it a fresher blue. We decided to make it a blue which is easier to print and easier to this thing. The earlier blue was a little purplish in color. So that happened. But I've always believed that blue, fine. I mean, I know a lot of businesses, do blue because we have this, we imitate West.
Right.
I want to look like established company, so I do a logo which looks like established. I use a color which looks like established. I use a language which looks like established. People look at this and say, बहुत बड़ी established brand है ये तो already, though they never heard of it before. So that's okay. I think there is a lot of psychology. There is. I think another thing which has happened today is the media. There are a lot of medias through which you can expose brands and colors to people. And that actually opens up, I think, the whole color palette to you. There were colors we could not even dream of touching because the print media would not be able to reproduce them. Orange, for example, even now, it's a taboo if you are using orange in print. There's nobody who can print good orange unless you go for a special color.
Okay.
Or you're not sensitive enough to the color. That's another thing. So when we brought KTM to India, KTM is orange. I was very worried, and we actually spent something like a month, checking out colors to say which exact shade will go in the showroom, because we wanted one wall to be orange and the fascia was orange. lot of time spent. And I think well spent because the brand got established. But I think later people start compromising anyway. It doesn't matter, thoda sa idhar, thoda sa udhar. So that's okay. I think that's how we are.
Okay, amazing. Starting with the company, okay, how was that shift, like from starting a company, then you started the magazine,
Yeah.
and then the awards. So we would like to know about that.
Okay. So, company, this is not my first company, this is my second company.
second
My
company.
first company is also a very well-known design company, Elephant Design.
Yes.
Elephant Design, I founded with my batchmates on campus.
Okay.
I was in the final year. And I think it was also driven from the insecurity of design not being known at that time. And I was like, I'll finish the course at NID and I will not get a job. That was my worry. And so I needed to start my own company. I read about pentagram, I read about frog design at that time. That's how the name elephant came in, frog design. And I read how these people were doing fascinating work for industry. But I also realized that in India, there were no designers. So a lot of companies set up their own design departments and they were doing jugaad. A lot of them, they continue doing jugaad. But I thought that if there's a professional company which could put a process to the work and create things it would work in India also.
Right.
So we started our first company on campus from the insecurity that jobs were not available for designers were not known. And we did fantastic. I think it did very well. I had differences with my friends, with my batchmates, so I moved on, started another company. I still am a shareholder in Elephant and started another company called INDI Design in 2009. Focus was branding and anything related to brand, because brand is, I think, easily understood by business rather than design. If you say design, तो उनको लगता है तुम artist हो. But if you say branding, उनको लगता है you talk business. And actually, my point of view to design is from the business, not from the art. I have a big lecture on that also. I talk about that. So that was doing very well. Then I realized I also teach. I give lectures in many schools, NID, other design schools around the world, not just India, in China. And I realized very soon that in India, the design students are reading case studies or about people from abroad, from Italy, from Japan. They know Chinese designers, they know Italian designers, they know French designers, they know Japanese designers, they don't know Indian designers. Basically, they didn't know me. So my problem was that I think we needed to create case studies, we needed to create heroes out of our own talent. And I started a magazine. Though, I mean, the negative point of starting the magazine was that I would not be on the cover of the magazine, a little bit to this thing. But I landed up putting every designer I knew on the cover. We did 144 issues for 12 years, every month. And we covered only Indian talent. It was called Pool Magazine earlier, then later Design India. The idea was to bring out Indian designers, and I think it did brilliant work there. It got subscribed to a lot of design schools, architecture schools. The best was it got subscribed by European design studios, by Japanese, and they would call me and say, we want to know about Indian designers, but we don't know where to go.
Wow.
So I suddenly realized that, I'm doing some social service to the design sector. Unfortunately, I stopped that magazine a year back. On the way, I think 2014, 2015 is when I realized that, every Tom, Dick and Harry is running design awards, whereas we are a good, serious magazine. We know a lot about design. So let's do awards. Yeah. So I started running awards. I was a jury on Cannes, I was jury on AdFest, I was jury on so many design, Turkey and good design. So many awards around the world that I knew exactly how this works. I was on the organizing team of IF Design, which is one of the most reputed design awards in the world. So I knew the background working. I knew how exactly that works. So we organized our awards and rolled it out, and it worked very well. In fact, I'm surprised how well have the fraternity taken it up. Very, very reputed. The credit goes to our jury actually, who very seriously give this award since. So 8 years of design, we have design awards we did, and I realized people needed to have, any winner wants validation that I need to stand on the stage and somebody needs to give me the trophy. तो वो फोटो को मैं Instagram में डालूंगा. So I realized, we didn't think of that. So we seriously got our trophy designed, and they said, okay, come, we'll give you the award. And we realized we're giving awards to the best of our community. So I said, okay, let's start putting them on the stage also. So it became a one-day event where people come to get awards.
Correct.
And those heroes are also on the stage. And our jury also comes, they are also on the stage. And I get whoever I can get to talk on the stage. So it's a one-day event only. It became the Design India show. And in the evening, we give awards to everyone. And everyone goes back happy. So it became a very fulfilling thing for us. For my staff, it's an annual day. For my alumni, I call alumni people who've ever worked with me in the past. They are all the volunteers who come. They are invited to join. It becomes like a get-together of all of us together, the same fraternity, my professors, my teachers, my clients, everybody. My clients, by the way, sponsor it. And my friends come and give lectures. So it's for me very nice to sit back and listen to them. We started publishing a book.
Okay.
So now we publish a yearbook based on the event which we do, which is done for the awards. So it's all linked together. So many things, all things happen together. And it's wonderful. So running a design practice, running the publishing, running the awards, running the event, I think it's all lands up to basically uplifting the community.
Amazing. And I have myself also attended one event.
Sure, you were a winner, right?
Where Design Quarry was nominated and they won the award. I mean, it was an amazing experience all throughout the day. Having inspiring people talking about design, where that rarely happens as of today. I mean, because of this, I got to witness one event like that. So that was really amazing experience.
Thank you.
So now, how do you balance your creativity and business and all of these together? Because definitely it becomes taxing at a point of time when, day in and day out. So how do you?
Not really. See, I know I get this question often. I don't think they're very different.
Okay.
One is, of course, I always get very confused of when people call something creative. I really believe there's nothing called creative.
Okay.
I always talk about this, that we are like magicians, right? We know our craft very well. So if you've seen a magic show, that guy comes, does something, and say, "Kaise kiya tumne?" Magic. But he knows actually it's a lot of hard work and a lot of skill, practice, experience in the background. For him, it's like magic. Kya wo pani piyega, jayega wahan se. I think creativity is like that. The real creative people are people who do art. Because that's very, in design, creativity, I don't know how that really fits in. Design for me is out and out business.
Okay.
So that's where I don't really have to balance the business and creativity. It's out and out business. And how do I balance my own business? It's very simple. I work with the best businesses in the country, in the world. They make a lot of money. They pay me a lot of money. So very simple equation,
That's a good inspiration and motivation to get up every day.
No, but what we do makes sense for them.
Exactly.
So this Nepal, we just did this cafe in Nepal. It opened on last Diwali. Since that Diwali till now, it's become the hottest cafe in Nepal.
Wow.
It's in Kathmandu. And it's become a flagship cafe of that cafe company, which is a partner there, right? So it's like suddenly, and even now I watch reels and I can't believe that we of course planned it like that, but I didn't believe that one day you switch it on and from next day it's minting money for my clients, and we are like, okay, what do we do now? So I said, let's do another one. So yeah.
No, absolutely. That follows the domino effect that we say, yes, definitely one
I think
after
you
the
need
other.
to, in any business, if you spend enough time on paper, planning it properly, which is what I call designing a business, there's no way that business will not succeed. It
Correct.
will succeed. And if a business will succeed, clients always share it with the designers. Obviously.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not a one-time story.
Right.
All my clients are, I continue working with all of them. I'm working with Bajaj, I'm working with ICICI, I'm working with Bikaram Channel, BC, I'm working with, I mean, all my clients are my friends, and we work together. So, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Who or what has been your greatest source of inspiration throughout the journey as a designer, as an entrepreneur, and how has this inspiration shaped your approach to your work?
पता है मेरा प्रॉब्लम क्या है एवरीथिंग आई लुक एट बिकम्स इंस्पायरिंग टू मी
Okay.
everything I read is so inspiring. I have a problem, I can't read books.
Huh.
You know, because I find them so inspiring, I get goosebumps when I'm reading something. And I start something and then I start imagining my own stories, movies. I find them so inspiring. I watch movies and in between, I'm telling you, I get lost in thinking my own ends to the movies.
Wow.
The way they are happening. It happens so often. I think life is very inspiring. Everyone you meet is inspiring. But yeah, I mean, in the traditional ways, there were some teachers, there were some, I mean, the way the parents have been, the way our culture is, the way we are with each other is amazing. You know, you go outside and you don't find it. You find life very dull.
Right.
I think life is so, it's so teeming with life.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Everything inspires me. I look at a car and I say, my God, you know, I can think of a movie based on that. I look at, I'm sitting in a fashion show and I think of the next logo, you know, because I don't know, something happens from there. And I watch movies and I'm thinking of poetry out of that. So it's like
Wow.
everything is very inspiring and it's so into each other that it's so seamless, really.
But how has this thinking process evolved for you? Because not everyone is able to draw inspiration through these things. Because see, you get a lot of this jargon. I think for designers, think out of the box. Okay, that. So how would you? Because a lot of viewers watching are designers and everybody. So and that gets used a lot. कि अरे नहीं अच्छा लगा तो think out of the box.
Problem है, you know, you cannot think out of the box. Possible नहीं है. You have to live out of the box.
Okay.
So I really feel that sometimes I feel my life has not been a normal life, and that's probably because you just don't take anything for granted.
Correct.
Right? I have a twin brother. We look alike. We never lived together. It's a very filmy story. We got together when I was at NID. We sort of started meeting. Till then, we used to hate each other because he was with my uncle and aunt. And I said, this guy looks like me. You know, everyone says he's your parents are his parents. They're like crazy. Then NID happened. NID, nobody knew what NID is in my circle. The kind of background I came in from, I had a lot of insecurities, a lot of responsibilities, which are nothing new. I mean, every normal young male in any of our societies, other than the urban ones, has that, had to live with that. I opened a company right off the bat on the campus, which was a super hit from the word go. I opened another company which was a super hit from the word go. I at times I get worried when somebody says this thing is not working. Then I say, why is that? You know, why is that? They say, oh, I need to think out of the box. So you can't think out of the box. You have to live out of the box.
Out of the box, yeah.
Okay, it's like you have to take walks. I don't know. I think it's a whole lifestyle of living in your head and not taking anything for granted, being grateful for what you have around you, people you meet. Every person you meet has something to give you. You have to be open to take it, right?
Absolutely.
Everything which you are watching, every movie. I can watch any damn boring movies also. And like I told you, I'm watching very boring movie and I'm making my own movie in my head. I watch news and I'm making my own news. I read something and I start writing my own novel. So that whole idea of that I can do this comes from there. And frankly, you don't need to think out of the box. You know, this whole concept of that's a cliche, out of box.
Correct.
Basically, you need to think what is appropriate. And the moment you are familiar with the context, and contexts are many, there is a technology, there's a manufacturing angle, distribution angle, there's a social, there's cultural. The moment you are in with all the context, the answer is in front of you and sort of glaring at you.
Right.
And then people look and they, creativity. Not creativity, not magic, and not really out of the box.
But
Magazine was not out of the box.
okay.
Magazine, even now, makes a lot of sense.
Correct.
Awards, not out of the box. One day event, not out of the box. I mean, who has time to sit? I don't have time to sit in design awards or design functions,
Correct.
conferences for 3 days. I can't. I can't imagine who has time to sit in events for 3 days. Students have. But then why create something for students? They are already overloaded with the things here,
Absolutely.
So I'm saying, if you go to your targets, my target is professional. Professional people don't have time. I don't have time. So I wouldn't want to do anything for them which I can't do myself.
Correct.
As simple as that. So you're not thinking out of the box. That's the box.
So, but coming back to the living out of the box, because that was something really grabbed my attention. Why? Because when you're living out of the box, as you said, not having a normal life, because, you are always, pursuing or, you're chasing something. And that always puts you in that vacuum of being, never satisfied, maybe never settled, kind of an ideology. So how, but you still find peace there, even if it is unsettling. So do you relate with that?
Yeah. See, I think when I say living out of the box, there's a lot of fight involved in that. Fight with culture, fight with your parents, fight with the society around you, fight with your partners, fight with anyone you know, right? Your family. Fight with other businesses, your clients, your vendors, everybody you're fighting with.
Yeah.
And you can't get up and say, Aaj se I will live out of the box.
Huh.
I'll start fighting. No, that fight is a part of your growing up. Right?
Correct.
And that's what I frankly feel, that the way we grew up in India, in smaller cities, in places where you don't really have proper places to live in. I mean, I don't really want to make it this thing, but we were living in Jamnagar, where the water, I don't know if people would know this now, the water in Jamnagar, there's no water pressure. It used to come in the tap, would come 6 feet under the ground. So that means every house in Jamnagar had a kuan, this thing outside, and the water would drop in there, and you would then fill it with buckets and put it on the roof, so that you have to travel. Crazy thing, why not have a pump, right? Pump were not allowed.
Okay.
Because then some people will suck the water. There's not enough water for people to drink. So that's the crazy life you have lived with, right? And I am telling you, millions of us live that life in India. They're fighting. They're fighters. Anyone who's a fighter is living out of the box. You just need to put him into the perspective of, okay, become creative or become a R&D guy, or think of a new engineering or a new app. That guy will do brilliant. In my office, I hire people who are misfits. I mean, that's a secret. I'm telling you this.
Amazing.
I do not hire people who are very good designers.
Okay.
I hire people who have done something else in life and then know the tools of design. So their life is somewhere else. They're struggling. They're doing something, but they're brilliant in their thinking.
Correct.
And then the moment you put it together, there's no nonsense in that. It's like straight away, ye chahiye, ye karna hai.
Simple.
Karte hain, yeah. I mean, pick up people from smaller towns. So much talent, really.
Absolutely.
I'm really amazed with the amount of talent we have. The problem of thinking in the box and living in the box comes only in the cities, where we are sitting in the couches and we have TV in front, and mummy
Correct.
khana la ke de deti hai table ke upar, and it's like
Absolutely.
very,
Absolutely.
yeah, they really don't need to struggle. So people who've struggled, I think they are already living out of the box. Look at all the achievers we have.
Correct.
Look at the politicians we have today. I mean, my God, so much struggle they have been through their life. They understand what living is.
Exactly.
I mean, if you understand the value of money, I understand the value of money for my client. When I ask him, boss, ye itna kharcha hoga, okay, I can convince him, I can tell him why itna kharcha hoga. And what will happen to him with that, this thing, and they are happily paying for it.
Amazing. So with social media now, like Instagram, Facebook, this Pinterest, YouTube, a lot of many platforms. So when you see designs over there, like new brands coming up, what are your first thoughts when you see like good design, bad design? That is the topic I wanted to come to.
Yeah.
As per Sudhir Sharma. Good design.
See, a lot of the design we react to is transient. It really doesn't matter.
Okay.
Frankly, I mean, not everything in life you need to react to. So I see social media like that. I feel a lot of things happening on social media in terms of design don't need your attention.
Okay.
Really. Content is important. Look at the content. If that is good, take it. If it's not good, just laugh at it and move ahead. You don't need to react to it.
Okay.
Right? So the moment there is something which strikes to you, that something, oh, this somebody has thought about and has done something about, that for me becomes a good design.
Okay.
Okay? Which is very rare on social media. I don't find, really, I don't find good design on social media. I find good design in life, not social media. Social media is like what TV has become, 24-hour channels, right?
Correct.
We used to surf earlier, now we scroll.
Scroll.
So it's just that laugh, smile, this thing. Also, it's become like, you keep in touch with people through that. Otherwise, see, some of us we need people in our life. Okay, so earlier it was like, I need people, but I need to go to them or they need to come to me. Now I can just sit in the corner and I'm in touch with people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. But I feel a lot of that design is transient. And people don't realize this. I find that fight unnecessary when you say green hona chahiye, this particular shade of green or that particular font. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I think as long as it's serving its purpose, it's good enough. Your font is as good as my font or your color is as good as my color. I don't attach myself to it, right? But the moment it's a color which is going to affect somebody's life, somebody's business in a big way, I will take care of that. I mean, then that's design, right?
Right. And what is your go-to reaction for a very bad design that you come across? Is there anything like that?
No, it's okay. So see, design is always a reflection of people who are behind it. Right?
Correct.
So it's just that some people haven't had the exposure.
Okay.
Right education.
Right.
It's just like किसी ने गाली दिया, what do you say?
You react or don't react?
No.
लगने तो नहीं वाला है.
You reflect on that person's upbringing.
Exactly.
Poor guy, इसके माँ बाप ने इसको सिखाया नहीं कि क्या करना है. The same thing, I look at the bad design, I say, poor guy, he didn't go to a good college, उसका teacher अच्छा नहीं था, वो मतलब forgive him, it's okay.
So, with the increasing focus on sustainability, how do you integrate eco-friendly practices into designs? And what is your take on all this sustainability, eco-friendly? Because these are the new trending words that are coming into industry. Minimalism, and how do you look at them? How do you look at it?
Okay, they're different things. Sustainability is different.
Correct.
Minimalism is different. So let me talk about sustainability first. I think the moment you realize that being a designer means you have certain responsibilities with you. One is ethics, extremely important. Ethics are not just towards a culture or to people around you, it's also to the nature.
Correct.
I think it's inherent in Indians. We really don't need to think about sustainability.
Right.
It's there built in. If we do something which is doing bad to the society, we will object to it. So I feel I had written an article about this about 15 years back in a magazine that sustainability is an issue which is not for designers. It's a marketing topic right now because it does, matters. It matters to people.
Right.
But designers have always had sustainability in their heart. It's just that some of us didn't have those tools, didn't have the materials. And a lot of people are now developing material and it becomes sustainable. But sustainability, according to me, is non-negotiable.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Nature, non-negotiable. Culture, non-negotiable. So these are the fabrics of society and growth and development. You have those responsibilities, whether you're a designer or not. not negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
So sustainability is inbuilt into anything you do, whether that is saving for the environment or that is taking care of what will happen in the future.
Correct.
Right? So sustainability is there. Minimalist. Okay, there are two ways of minimalism. I frankly feel Indians are not minimalist people. We are maximalist.
Correct.
I just did we were working on a project, automobile project, and we were recording things. People take anything and they want to garnish it. Right? So we need to understand where this concept of minimalism is coming from. Minimalism comes from Europe. Where you have, it's a cold, it's snowing outside, and you have a wooden thing built or a concrete room built, and a large 1,000 square feet room will have only one person, only one desk.
Correct.
White color ka desk and white color ka chair, and that person dressed in black sitting at the end. That is minimalist, and all thing is only concrete, not painted anything. Why? Because they can afford it.
Correct.
So suddenly minimalist means luxury. It means luxury of space. It means luxury of not having or doing anything. We don't have that luxury in India.
Right.
I mean, यहाँ पे 100 square feet will have 10 people from the family eating khana, which is probably 15 different dishes.
Correct.
With each dish having 10 different masalas.
Right.
And they'll all be wearing different types of clothes. We are not minimalist.
Absolutely.
Okay. Somehow it has happened that maximalist looks poor, minimalist looks rich, which is true. It is that. So many people want to imitate minimalism to sort of exude a lifestyle which is luxury. Right? It's not a lifestyle.
Correct.
But I would not say minimalist is sustainable. I don't equate that, because I feel 1,000 square feet in which one person is working is no way a sustainability thing than 10 people working next to each other. A lot of people call our offices sweatshops.
Okay. Yeah.
Though I think we have good enough space, but the moment there are 4 people in a room,
Correct.
you have a sweatshop. But that's not true. I think
true.
that's more sustainable way of working.
Absolutely.
Than not just that. We share computers. we share things in our life. We share food. I mean, the moment we eat food, I don't have in my office, for example, when 20 of us get together and we are eating each other's food.
Exactly.
It's very normal
Sharing
for us.
is caring, kind of.
Right.
Thing. Yeah.
I have been to offices in Hong Kong. I've been to offices in Europe where there are 5 people. They order their own dishes. Everybody eats half of that dish. Half of that dish goes back. I think, what is sustainable?
Exactly.
Okay. So I have a inverted equation with sustainability. I think maximalism, as it is in India, is a sustainable way of living.
Correct.
Minimalism is not sustainable for us. So who are the guys who have minimalistic way of life? These are guys who have very large houses. They live alone. One guy has a car. He goes in the car alone. That is minimalist. And then you say, I wear a white kurta with no embroidery on it. I would rather wear a kurta on which 10 different people have worked.
Yeah.
All those guys have got the livelihoods and cultural things are coming up, and I think that's more sustainable. I think Indian way is already sustainable, way sustainable.
Amazing take at this. I mean, so we were talking about cars, and that was something that a lot of people don't know about you. So you've been into testing cars. You've been into auto shows, and what which is that side of
so very early. I think I started working with Bajaj Auto on various projects since 1992. I did their first showroom, then I landed up doing their annual reports. Then I did rebranding of Bajaj Auto in 1998 is when I think we started all their auto expos and all. I became friends with some very well-known auto journalists. People like Adil Jal, the guru in auto world, right? And he was awed by the work we were doing. Like, nobody's done this before. So I said, okay, we're doing this. So he started calling me for the awards jury. So I became jury on auto awards, I think since 1996, 97. What that means is you'll end up driving the latest cars and bikes which are there. So you become auto jury. So Adil called me for auto juries and they get televised and they were on TV and they were in the print. Then the other people start calling you as well because see, this also stems from the fact that not many known designers from India in media, right? So I was enjoying driving cars and bikes. So, I mean, yesterday only I was telling somebody when C-Class was launched in India, I drove that car with the Mercedes person on freshly minted expressway. That's where I for the first time touched the 200 kilometer speed, and there were no cameras that time.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I've been doing this since ever. So the latest was I did a feature in Evo, which was on Virtuous Volkswagen. So I drove that car. So it's been fun. Also, what happened is because I started working for Bajaj Auto, and I'm always looking at where do I learn from if I'm working for a client, and I learn from the client, but I need to go for knowledge to a place which is
correct.
So I started traveling to Frankfurt Motor Show very early. I think 1994 or 6 was the first time I went to Auto Show in Frankfurt, then to Geneva every year. And then I started seeing, oh, this is how these guys promote their vehicles. So from the design point of view, I'm learning a lot.
Correct.
You don't write anything about the car. Like all our exhibitions used to be lots of written text. So I removed all the text from saying, we need to present a bike by itself.
Correct.
Put good lights on it, let people look at it and just give them keywords to sort of make stories of their own. We need to say very well engineered and, this BHP, that BHP. It makes no sense So traveling to those auto shows, I started looking at, what is BMW doing latest? What is Jeep bringing in? What is Lamborghini doing? What is Ferrari doing? What Harley Davidson is doing. So I started, and then I realized that when you come back here, you are slightly ahead of the curve. Not everybody is updated with what's happening in the world. So obviously when you go to a jury, you can put out and look and say, this looks like something like that and this needs to evolve into something. It just happened like that. So a lot of people from my office caught on the bug of autos. So a lot of people from my office are like automobile enthusiasts now. We also landed up working for a lot of automobile companies. I did work for, like Bajaj continues, I worked for Maruti, we worked for Honda a little bit in between. We did a very large project for Suzuki a few years back. We worked with Volkswagen. KTM I launched in India with Bajaj. Triumph we did all their auto shows in India. We just did ICA, a Pune-based brand, which is one of the EV brands to watch out for in the future. We designed the branding and a little bit of things on their product as well. We're working on a bike EV brand right now.
Wow.
We're working on a showroom for commercial vehicles. So a lot of my work portfolio is automobiles. So it's very nice when you're talking to the marketing guys that you understand what you're talking about, right?
Correct,
you understand
correct.
the language.
Yeah,
it's also interest. So
it's just amazing, and the feel of the automobiles itself is something, that the design to the engine and everything. So coming back to this, a lot of viewers are designers right now, and you've seen, since you've been teaching, so what would be that one message to the aspiring designers right now who are trying to find a line in this career and want to take design as a full-time thing, where they really aspire to be like you are having a company? So what are the things, like or those basic do's and don'ts, like if you really want to make a career in design and like in branding and everything as that
anything
discussed?
I think
Yes.
any of the, see, frankly I feel you don't need to box yourself into a kind of designer. Okay, I think a designer can transition from one to another. It just depends on the domain knowledge.
Correct.
It depends on your capacity to learn that much. But you need a basic trait of being curious. You need to ask questions. You need to be curious, and you can't suddenly say, "अच्छा ये project है तो अभी मैं curious हो गया." Otherwise, I'll switch it off. It's like it has to be on always, right? So you have to question like, why is this color? Why is this black? Why is this silver? Why is this such a big nut? Why is it like that? Why is that attached like this? Why this material? I mean, you keep questioning. I sit at airports when I look at people and I have some time. I start making up stories on their life. So I say, ये कहाँ से आ रहा होगा? ये कैसे आया होगा? रिक्शा में आया होगा? अच्छा नहीं, बस में आया होगा, कार में आया होगा, इसकी वाइफ कैसी होगी, इसके बच्चे कैसे होंगे, कौन से स्कूल में पढ़ते होंगे, इसके घर पर टीवी कौन सा होगा. I build a whole thing, and I think that comes from the very fact that you are curious. Okay, you need to be curious. You need to be curious about everything about you, around you. It automatically becomes that you start looking for answers.
Right.
You look at something and say, why is it like that? Then you want to know why is that working in a certain way. And many times it is out of context, but many times it is good. So I think designers need to be curious. What that means is you're forever learning. You can't be tech averse. You can't say, okay, I'm technologically challenged. So when anybody tells me that, then तुम designer नहीं हो. That means you were never interested in technology. If you're interested in something, how can you be,
Exactly.
Or somebody looks at a movie and say, bad movie. I mean, how can you pronounce a judgment? So that's another thing. I feel be curious, but don't make a judgment. Let it be. If somebody is, Salman Khan is such a brilliant actor. A lot of people just trash him saying, Tiger mein kuch ye nahi kiya, wo nahi kiya. And then look at, my God, producing that film would be such a, exciting thing to do. How can that be boring? And I loved it. So it's like, I think you need to be curious. You need to be interested in life. Don't worry about domains, but get all the professional knowledge which is available. And there is a lot of knowledge available. There's nothing which you can't learn on YouTube today. Right from how to make chole, to how to make movies, to how to do editing, how to change something, how to learn. Everything is there on YouTube.
Absolutely, exactly.
So today there's no scope. Earlier, I used to write to Nikon and I would get answers after 6 months saying, sorry, this zoom lens will not fit on your Agfa because that's a box camera. I'll say, oh, ye main nahi fit kar sakta hun. Today you just go and say, this lens is correct for me, this is not correct for me, everything. So you need to be curious. I think that's very important. Also, see, design as life and design as profession are two different things.
Okay.
I think design as profession is when we start saying that I need to do something in life so that I can earn enough to live. Now, it doesn't matter if it is design or if I'm selling oil.
Correct.
Okay, if it is that equation, then please learn some tools. You will earn enough from tools. But if you want to live life as a designer, then I think your head should be buzzing all the time. It will buzz naturally all the time. Yeah.
No, absolutely. This is amazing. So how do you, with coming of the AI and everything, so how do you see the AI and the design coming?
I'm frankly very thrilled.
Yeah?
Okay, I'm thrilled.
I'm thrilled.
I'm loving it. I imagine the amount of things which I can do. But I can see that a lot of people who are doing design as profession are threatened.
Yeah.
Because then I say, til bech lo yaar.
Til bech lo.
You'll make more money. But design as life, my God, what AI is fantastic right now.
It's generating, like that day I put, okay, like we just this DALI app, okay, you must have heard DALI.
I used
so
it.
I used using DALI. So I put Batman on Marine Drive, okay, I put this and Batman as Shah Rukh Khan. It actually generated that image and we were like, I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see like Shah Rukh Khan tha usme. I could make out there's Batman ka cape and all that, and he's on Marine Drive and there's a person selling bhel on the side. It was amazing. So, but how has your interaction with AI?
So we are using AI to think, not just to create things. So it's like I was on way to Nepal, and I'm like, DALI was I think version 1 or 2 had just released. So I started as a joke. That I had this and I want to put this in a typical Nepal. So it made those pagoda kind of things, Nepal ka architecture, and lots of wires around it, hanging and all, and in between something. I was like, why is it doing? I had never been to Nepal. So I was like, why is DALI doing like that? Then I started looking at pictures of Nepal, beautiful. Kathmandu is beautiful. It's just that when you land up there and you realize that the whole of Kathmandu has this tons and tons of wires going
Correct.
around, which imagine the tourist books and features have forgotten. They don't talk about it.
Correct.
Delhi picked it up.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that's a character we need to use in the design which we are doing. And we did in the showroom, which, so I think there's a lot of learning and thinking, a lot of things which you take for granted and AI doesn't. You know, there's a lot of planning which can happen on AI. There's a lot of scrubbing which you don't need to do anymore, which happens. A lot of times I have an idea which is a beautiful idea, but I don't have the right words to put it across.
Correct.
And I just get it, man. Yesterday there's a project we are working on in Delhi, and I'm like, I have an idea in my mind and I want to convince this guy. So I said, sitting on ChatGPT, I said, make a poetry, this word, and it has to awaken this feeling, and please do it like this. There's so many words, this, that. And I'm telling you, my God, what a poetry. And I just selected that, sent it to my client and said, Sudhir, tu kya karta hai yaar? So I was saying, wow. He's saying, what a brilliant idea. Idea I had.
Yes.
I just didn't know how to convey it.
Exactly.
It's like, so, we yesterday saying, oh, we should do a song on this. I think, we could.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. अभी कुछ पंक्तियां ही लिखी है.
But it's brilliant.
Exactly, and that is what AI is doing.
But you know what it does? It scares probably people who write copy for me. But again, if they had this fire, they would do this.
Exactly.
The guys I work with in my office, they're all onto it. Right? AI is our buddy we work with. You can't get scared. But if you are into design as a profession so that you can make a living, I think there are many other ways of making living.
Exactly. And the thing is, see, AI is just going to, make your art even better. Art or whatever you're doing. Because see, if you're a copywriter, definitely you can write even better copies, with AI. And that is something that nobody can challenge.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, if you read something, thoda bahut you can understand, this is ChatGPT or this is normal read. It doesn't matter. But as you said, whatever you want, it is giving you the final product, which you didn't even imagine that, how it would be. So I think it is going to be complementary, and unless and until you're not going to use it in a proper way, it is always going to be a threat.
And frankly, I think too many designers they don't need to be designers. They have no interest in design.
Correct.
They're not into thinking, designing at all. Their parents are well-to-do. They could actually, learn stock market.
Right.
And start making money. You can really make a lot of money on stock market. Design mein mat better. Design mein, I think only people who have that fire and, something should come.
Exactly.
So they can create something nice, make world a better place.
Just because it's trending, nowadays it's cool. Abhi now to the trend is UI UX. Everybody, like, even the interviews that we take now, everybody is like, "Arey, but graphic designer ke liye post dala hai." Yes, I know UI UX. But is it like that? Like it's the trend right now?
No, so UI UX is basically because that's where the consumption of design is right now, or designers is right now. So employment opportunities are there.
Correct.
If you are a UI UX, you could very easily see earning yourself in a tech company, earning well. So these are the guys who are doing design as profession, because you're earning. Solving problems is not your thing. You just want a good job.
Correct.
And I think it's good to have UI UX because those people do good jobs of being UI UX designers. But people who really want to be designers, I really think that's a life. Then you don't care about money, you don't care about how much time. But yes, I also tell people that if you're a good designer, there's no way you will not make money. You'll make tons of money.
Yeah.
But if you are not a good designer and you want to make money, please become UI UX designers. You'll make a lot of money. And it doesn't matter what you do, really. Because UX designers, really, they have no portfolio to show. I talked about this in my last event also, that then your identity is the company you work for. I work for Apple as a UX designer. Fine, Apple I know. What you did, I don't know. Right? But if you want an identity as a designer, you really have to work on real projects, which are not UI UX. So even UI UX is real projects. But I think they need a lot of labor today.
Correct.
Because the amount of tech there is, and I hope some serious designers also do UI UX. We do UI UX. We develop products for companies right now. But I think we do it with our stamp
Right.
on it.
So just one last question that has come to my mind. When you see the brand or the logo of Apple, what do you think, or what do you like decode it like for? I mean, just it's one of the most popular brands. That's why I'm asking this one.
See, I really feel not just Apple, any brand.
Any brand. Yeah.
Any brand is by nature what that company does. What is the product? What is the what is it doing? So Apple, I feel, is a very appropriate brand. It's a case study in that.
Correct.
It's so simple. I mean, now if you look at it, like biting an apple is such a simple this thing. Apple, kato, khao.
Correct.
I mean, धो लो उसको. Apple products are just like that. Simple to use, easy to use. The moment Apple will make a complicated product not within the ecosystem, it will fall out of Apple line.
Right.
People have expectation from Apple, right? Like you have expectation from Apple. Whenever you eat an apple, you know apple का taste कैसा होगा.
Correct.
For that, it didn't have to be apple. I mean, वो peanuts भी होता तो चलता था. But it is like you know exactly what to expect. It's created the expectation out of its own audience. That when Apple creates a complex product today, people will reject it, saying, "Hey, Apple nahi hai. It's not Apple." Apple has to follow its own brand philosophy because it's defined in their logo. Simplicity of use. Right? Simple, so simple to use. Really.
Absolutely.
Besides that, there is of course now over the years recall. People recognize it. Right? But then recall is always built into the exposure. I mean, anything you put in front of people's eyes for so many years, invest a lot of money, recognition you can build very quickly.
Correct.
But the meaning is difficult to build. That is where, and the meaning is not built in the logo. It's built in the people, the culture of the company, the tech of the company. That whole idea of that you build your own ICs, you build your own software, you build a full ecosystem. It's so easy to transfer picture from one phone to another phone. It's so easy to take pictures and transfer contact cards. It's so easy to actually write a email on the phone and answer it or finish it on your laptop, right? I think you look at all those things, then say, oh my God, so appropriately given the identity of the Apple.
Right.
So I think it finally always goes behind to the person, Steve Jobs.
Absolutely.
That was his thinking. And I keep looking at that. Any identity which I do, I think is a reflection of the person who's heading that project. So you will find multinational companies confusing identities.
Correct.
Right? All owner-driven companies in India, and we have families owning businesses. You can see personalities of people in their identities.
Right.
The moment the identity is not very well thought, not very well structured, is confused. यहाँ yellow है, वहाँ green है, यहाँ पे थोड़ा circle है, वहाँ पे square है. The company owner himself is not very serious about the business.
Correct.
You can figure that out. Yeah.
So finally, what is the future of design now? Because see, what I feel is like there was a legacy set in the before years, and now simply people are like following, नहीं मुझे ऐसा बनना है, मुझे वैसा करना है, मुझे वैसा. But what do you see is the future that is going to maybe revolutionize design for the next 80 to 100 years ahead?
See, I think very interesting question, because today, because of AI, I feel that design is in transition again. Very frankly, I think slightly premature answer right now, because AI is not yet there. Okay, I can't really say, this is the object.
Correct.
Design it. It would reach there. Okay, chances are that how we designers live with AI, how do we use it, is probably the next big chapter, which is going to unfold in next 3 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
May not take that much time also. So that will define the future of design. So I really don't know what is the future of design. But what I do know is that the design which we need as human beings to live our life by is extremely culture. It's rooted in society. That's not going to go away. Anyway, whether tech comes in, AI comes in or doesn't come in.
Okay.
Right? I will need my parents, I will need my children, I will need my friends, I will need my wife, we're going to need a social fabric.
Correct.
to continue living. And as long as the design is integrated into this social fabric, whether through colors or through fonts or through the textile weave or through tech, it'll work. So anyone, names might change into the future. People will reach super specialization, micro specializations into that. But design is going to be extremely relevant. And more people are going to trust designers doing things. I already see that. Like I'm working now for 35 years as a designer. I mean, earlier I had to convince my clients a lot, obviously because I was younger. Today my clients are younger.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't have to convince them, which obviously is more responsibility. They just come and say, uncle, this, or bhaiya, this. Then I say, let me check this out. And, so they close their eyes and just take whatever I give them. So what that means is that designers, I believe what is happening to me is happening to everyone. Okay, I believe that designers will reach that point of authority where you yourself have to be very serious. I can't be, I've done that as usko beach diya maine. I can't do that anymore because it actually needs to be good. And the moment it is good, I'm telling you, even if it is him or his father or uncle, I'll fight with them and tell them how this is the best solution. So the future of design is more responsible citizens, more responsible people towards our planet, towards each other, more human.
Absolutely. Oh, amazing. I think that is something because I don't know if the term is correct. Legacy design, does this apply somewhere in this? Like create a legacy of design or something like a recall that goes for, like, for example, we spoke about Apple or McDonald's for that matter of fact. But it's kind of a legacy design.
But what surprises me with Apple, McDonald's, or a lot of these companies which are not Indian, is how they stick to a thought. Generation after generation. I can imagine here, I am telling you, I've worked with enough companies, large companies. Every time the marketing manager changes, which is probably once in 3 years, the whole thought changes.
Thought changes, correct.
वो पहले वाला सब junk हो गया, अभी नया. And the thought is then not from the point of view of people, it is from the point of view of sales.
Correct.
Okay. Not many people realize that sales is inherently related to marketing, inherently related to design. That connection not everybody gets.
Right.
So they attempt sales. So that's where a lot of confusion happens. A lot of sales doesn't mean good design. A lot of turnover does not mean brand is done. Right?
Right.
I keep saying designing a showroom and designing a museum is different. Showroom is sales. Museum is marketing.
Correct.
Right? People don't understand.
Right, yeah.
So you will see, I was just thinking about this today. So many companies have their brand showrooms. Showrooms, which are actually sales showrooms.
Correct.
They don't have museums where they show their legacy or their awareness of what they're doing, because over the time people have not documented, they've not kept it. Right? Go to Europe, go to Autostadt, Volkswagen. Go to Autostadt is the largest museum of brands. I mean, look at the legacy there, which is documented and kept. And you go there, you don't have to buy a Volkswagen.
Exactly.
I'm not buying a Volkswagen, but I come enriched with what a brand it is. Okay. Will Volkswagen survive and sell in the future? I don't know. Probably because today's generation, which is mostly Indians and Chinese, are getting lured by the sales pitch, by the retail pitch.
True.
When we don't care for the design pitch much more. And I think that's the responsibility of designers, to educate our clients on one hand, and to younger designers on the other hand, that avoid sales, avoid the sales, pitch. It will sell if it is good. If it is not good, don't push it people's throat, down people's throat, that they have to buy it and then they don't know what to do with it. So anyone who comes and says, इसका कलर जूता बना रहे हैं, इसका कलर 5 कलर चाहिए हमको, तो पहले जूता तो अच्छा बनाओ, then put it in 5 colors, no problem.
Agreed.
No, but make a good shoe first. Shoe तो same है.
Shoe the same. Exactly. No, but very interesting fact you said right now. The museum kind of a thing. Like, for example, when I visit any old Indian temple, Okay, that you see, like, which is like 2000, 3000 year old. That time I wonder, ki, what are we making? Maybe if they dig us up after 1,000 years, okay, we are putting everything digitally. Maybe at that time, 3, 4,000, 5,000 years later, at least those temples are still there where we know, ki, okay, this was the kind of, the imagination that they had. This was the kind of the culture. What are we doing? What are we doing to preserving all this? Because everything is going digitally. Maybe digital will be there, not there, 5,000 years down the line.
Yeah.
They might think that we were the most dumbest civilization. We didn't produce anything because everything went digital, and in our time. So do you relate to this thought?
Yeah, I do. I think about this a lot. I mean, think of it, Pune. Okay, I love this place. I've been here 35 years. I've done 4 books on Pune.
Okay.
Queen of Deccan was my first book I did on Pune, and I've done a lot of twice I've done books with Maratha Chamber on Pune, maps of Pune city. I did branding of the Pune city, Commonwealth Youth Games, all that. I really feel that, and we are an industrial city. We have legacy brands here. Okay, and they have money. It's not that money is a problem. It's just that why can't we have the museums? Why can't we have the brand museums of the country in Pune? And I can count 20 of them. Okay, let's say 5 of them put up brand museums.
Absolutely.
Okay, and Maratha Chamber or somebody regulates saying this is what the museum should be. I'm telling you, the whole of India will flock. Anyone who's studying business will flock to come and study the brand museum, which tells you the history, which tells you the people, milestones, all that, not a sales showroom. Right? The moment you have, say, for example, in 5 years' time, you do 20 of these, we become a unique city in the world. There's no place in the world where brand museums exist of industrial products.
Exactly.
Okay, and that breathes, that grows. You go to any big company anywhere in the world, they have museums. Go to Samsung. I mean, not a very old company. If you look at their legacy, the way they've documented, look at Toyota. I mean, in Nagoya, you can spend a whole week in Toyota museum. Wow. The starting from the weaving factory, कपड़ा बनाने की मशीन बनाते थे ना पहले. Then in moving into automobiles, so beautifully preserved, and every person who goes there comes out with full of pride. And I think I start looking at those companies with a different eyes altogether. I say, oh my God, whatever they do, there's so much richness behind it. It's not that our companies don't have.
Correct.
But I think people are so worried about sales today. आज इतना बिकना चाहिए.
Correct.
He doesn't worry that 10 साल के बाद में क्या बताऊंगा मैं.
No, I think this podcast has been amazing. I think superb insight into the world of design, and I think there will be very good inspiration and motivation for all our viewers. So thank you so much, sir, coming for Kya Boltaay, and to more power to you, because we'll be definitely want to come back on the podcast with you with a specific and more individual topics, because as we spoke, we covered a lot. We touched a few points, but they're all on the surface level.
Congratulations. I think you're doing a great job with this podcast.
Thank you so much.
I saw some of your Insta things. I haven't seen YouTube yet, but brilliant. I think it's required. And it is a medium which is the medium of today. Young people need to see different things. And I like the name. Kya Boltaay is fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. Just for our audience, I want you to look at the camera and say, just follow us, like us, and subscribe us.
I mean, it makes sense that you follow us, like us on Kya Boltaay. Follow it, like it, subscribe it, share it. I think it's very important that other people also get to know about this.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Amazing,
much.
amazing.